Cancer screening is very important for everybody. The earlier that you can detect cancer, the better your chances of survival. Now, finding out bad news is something we're just wired to try and avoid. It's something we'd never want to bring closer to us. We don't want to think about it, but it's so important to make sure that you are looking after yourself so that you can look after those around you.
When my dad found out that he had cancer, the change was not immediate, right? And at first he kept on saying that, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And we said, no, we're gonna fight this. It really changed him to a dad and a husband for my mom that we had to learn from anew. Yeah.
The bravery came from knowing that my kids don't have anyone else. It came from knowing that there are people who've walked this journey and they're still standing. So how I found out was I got sick. I had a headache and I couldn't shake this headache So the whole of December, I went through the holidays with a headache. Come 2022, the doctor finally says, no, it's gone on for too long, let me admit you. And then they found tumors in my spleen and in my liver.
Oh my gosh, my dad was literally a giant, in stature that is. He would cross mountains. Wherever he was, he would make sure that he comes running. He was a protector. He tried. Still something we haven't gotten used to. Still something that we are learning to live, to understand why he's not here, in as much as we do and understand on the surface. But that is the one big thing I can say for both my mom, my sister, and I. Getting used to life without hearing my dad's voice. And the impact, seeing my dad going through chemo and radiation, that was one of the hardest things to experience.
Chemotherapy was very taxing, and emotionally it was very bad because to have to look at yourself in the mirror and make peace with the stranger. Sorry. You had to make peace with the stranger. Because every time you look at yourself, you don't recognize yourself. You don't know who this person is. When you do chemotherapy, it's not painful at that moment, but when you go home, that's when the pain starts. My daughter literally used to check if I'm still alive. That hurt. Every morning, Mom, are you still okay? It was hurtful. At some point, I reacted to the chemo and they were there and it was quite bad and they saw that reaction that I had and I had to be rushed to hospital. So those things were traumatic for them and it was very, very rough on them.
So with regards to, finances regarding his treatment, luckily my dad was on medical aid, so it wasn't a problem. However, with time you realize that not everything gets paid for by medical aid. So till today, years later, we are still fighting for medical aid to make those payments to the service providers, which still hasn't happened. So that's been the biggest thing. I think that's just been stressing my mom out, ensuring that is at least taken care of.
So financial help is really important to make sure you have peace of mind. That's what financial products are there for. So if something bad does happen, you have the cover in place to make sure that you can manage the impact that it has to your life. So having insurance products that can help you manage these costs that do arise if you are diagnosed with cancer is so important. Critical illness pays you a lump sum if you are diagnosed with cancer, and that's money that you can use however you need it. So whether you need to pay for costs that weren't covered by your medical aid or other treatment costs, whether you want to use it to pay, to freeze your eggs or your sperm, so that you can go through the cancer treatment and then still have your, protect the ability for you to have a child in future. Because one of the things you never want to face is to decide between going for cancer treatment or having a child. So the Health Cash Plan provides a daily payment if you are in hospital for more than 2 days. Gap cover is very important at helping you manage any cost shortfalls that do arise from your medical aid. Dealing with cancer is difficult enough, but knowing that you do have funds there to help you manage such a difficult time in your life allows you to be brave for you and for your family.
Should you eventually lose your loved one to cancer, it doesn't mean that they lost. It just means that it was time for their journey and cancer to come to an end. So don't feel like you lost and cancer won. You won because you fought. Yeah.